Hello and welcome to 3DO Sounds. In this video I want to talk with you about the Zoom H6 and the Zoom H8. The benefits, what I like, what I don't like, and at the end of the video you can decide for yourself if the Zoom H6 or the Zoom H8 is more what you are looking for. Before we get started, two things. This is not a sponsored video. These are all my own thoughts and what I think about the Zoom H8 and the Zoom H6. And second, please feel free to follow us on our Instagram account because we make more videos about field recording and more information that you won't find here on our YouTube channel. I've been traveling the world since 2015. I started out recording sounds back in 2017 using a Zoom H1. If you are first time here on our YouTube channel and now you're curious, we made a video about it, how a $100 field recorder changed our life. Just click here and then you can come back to this video if you are interested. But after the Zoom H1, we bought the Zoom H6. Exactly this one, not a different one, this one. I still have it and there's nothing I can say about it negatively because this is how we started. We created 3DO Sounds from a hobby and a passion project to a full-grown business that allows us to keep on traveling. There's so much to cover, and to be honest, it is not easy to make a video because I don't know who is watching. Are you a music producer? Are you a field recorder like myself? Are you somebody who has already an H6 and you think about upgrading to an H8? Or are you completely new and you think about, should I get an H6 or should I get an H8? So there is a lot to talk about. If you're talking about the price, if you want to buy the Zoom H6 in the Black Edition, it is about $320, or the H8 is about $400 at the time we're making this video. Now let's think about you are somebody who have already the Zoom H6 and you want to upgrade to an H8. And I tell you my honest opinion, if you just think about the sound quality, that also depends. Do you have external microphones or are you using just the XY and the MS capsule with the Zoom H6? So, and to be honest, if you're just using your H6, sometimes, you record some sound effects here, you take it with you on holiday, so you don't actually use it too often, there's no need to upgrade. If you're just using the XY head or the capsule, you don't have to. The sound quality is almost identical between both. If it comes to external microphones, yes, I do have to say that the preamps are less noisy than on the H6. Do you really want to pay $400? Is it really worth to pay another $400 for a recorder that is almost similar from the sound quality to the Zoom H6? I personally would not do it. I would rather upgrade to a Zoom F6. If you watch this video and you're on the fence between both of them, it also depends on your preferences. Do you have external microphones or not? Do you have a music studio and you want to record instruments and you are in a quiet environment, you want less noise, then yes, the Zoom H8 might be better for you. But maybe you don't even like touchscreen because the H8 can only be operated through the touchscreen. And some people don't like that, and I understand. I would be a little bit more scared because the Zoom H8, when I just pick it up really quick, if I have this one in my hand, right? If you have it flat in your hand, it's fine. But I don't want to drop this one because I feel like if I drop the H8, it will burst quicker than the H6. So what I've seen is this H6 is a little bit more robust. So I feel like it's more robust, but from the weight, they're quite the same. But if you break the screen, then that's it, because then you don't know how to operate it. If you break this screen, we hope nobody ever breaks the screen, but you can still operate through the buttons. If you're a field recorder and starting time of a recorder is important for you, just check this out really quick. The starting time is quite different, and if you're out there in the field and you want to record a quick sound and your recorder is not on and you have to turn it on, you might miss the sound using an H8 compared to the Zoom H6. If you're wondering what this is, these are quick releases from the Peak Design strap, and I use this because I don't have a bag. And if this is something that is important for you, then I have to tell you that there is no customized bag out there yet that is made for the Zoom H8. But for a Zoom H6, you can always find a bag. There's one thing I experienced, and that's when you do field recording and podcast. You know, you have these sections within the field recorder where you can change between music, field recording and podcast. And I remember we did a podcast, and if you do podcast, it always records in 44.124. And then when you go back into field recording, and I always have it on 9624, but what's happening is that it will change this into the low form from the podcast. And I was out there recording all these sounds, and then I came home and they're all 44.1, and I'm like, oh no. So make sure if you have an H8 and you do podcasts and field recording that you always change it back to your desired recording format. Now, if you're wondering, can you actually change the capsule with each other? Yes. The H6 capsule can fit on the H8, and the H8 capsule can fit on the H6. So I tried both out. I listened to both on both sides, but to be honest, I could not hear any differences. If it comes to the Xlr Inputs, yes, there is a difference, and I'm going to show you these examples in a minute. But also what I saw is that if you want to plug in your microphones, here on the H8, they are pretty much secured, so you can't take them out. And on the H6, you plug them in, but they can always come out. So if this is important for you, that you have Xlr inputs that are fixed in and they can't pull out, then maybe then H8 is also the recorder that you are looking for. This is the part where I show you the sound examples that we have recorded. And what we did is I just talked really quick into the XY capsules on both recorders, and I also used my DPA 4060. I have two of them, and I plugged them into the Xlr inputs. So let's just do that. First recording is me talking into the XY of the Zoom H8. So listen to this. This is a test, me talking into the Zoom H8 and into the Zoom H6. And then we want to find out what sounds better and has less noise in the recording. I also want you to pay attention to the spectrogram. It's almost identical. It is actually identical. So now we're talking into the Zoom H6. This is a test, me talking into the Zoom H8 and into the Zoom H6. And then we want to find out what sounds better and has less noise in the recording. You see, there's no difference, and that's what I mean. If you record sounds just using the XY and you already have an H6, there's no need to pay for a new H8. But how about the Xlr inputs? Are they better? Let's find out, starting with the Zoom H8. This is a test using the Zoom H6 and the Zoom H8 using DPA 4060 lavalier microphones plugged in into Xlr input number 1 on the H6 and on the H8. All levels are on 5. And I also want you to pay attention to the last part when I talk and I'm done. That's when you can really hear the difference. There's way less hiss and noise. Now let's see Zoom H6. You can already tell that the Zoom H6 sounds louder on level 5. Here we go. This is a test using the Zoom H6 and the Zoom H8 using DPA 4060 lavalier microphones plugged in into Xlr input number 1 on the H6 and on the H8. All levels are on 5. And you can really tell here also in the spectrogram, if I bring this up a little bit, we have here in this area way more noise. And that tells us that yes, the Xlr inputs, the preamps are better on the Zoom H8 than on the Zoom H6. I think we can all agree that the Zoom H8 sound better than the Zoom H6 if it comes to the preamps and to the Xlr inputs. But if you would ask me candidly, Marcel, if you would ask me, should I get an H8? Then I would ask you, how often do you record? Do you have a lot of external microphones that you want to use? And if you say, yes, I have all these things and I record a lot, then I would probably recommend you getting a Zoom F6 or maybe one of the sound devices or any other high quality recorder that maybe has a little bit more bit rate, and you have later more options to use them. And also one thing that I absolutely don't like about the Zoom H8 is the distance of channel 1 and channel 2. You probably know already that I use Cinela with an ORTF and 5-pin Xlr. I know these are customized cables, but to be honest, if I want to plug them in left and right, then I have these cables running around either here over this part or underneath. It's just not as nice as if you have channel 1 and channel 2 next to each other. I'm curious, so feel free to leave me a comment down below if you have already a Zoom H8 or you have an H6 and you thought about getting an H8. How was this video? Was it helpful, or did I make it even worse? Because I know it is easy to make a video about a recorder that I use but don't use so often than, for example, the Zoom F6 that I use on a day-to-day basis with all my external microphones. And if you want to know more about all my other microphones, we have a whole playlist about all the recording devices. We have an updated equipment video on our YouTube channel, so feel free to check this out, and then you get to know more about us and 3D sounds and the equipment that we're using while recording sounds and traveling the world. So thank you so much for watching, and we really hope to see you in our next video.